Let Jai Narayan Vyas finish.
Rahul, just give me a minute. I have just 2 lines to read out.
Yes.
Rahul, Mahatma Gandhi has said Hindustan belongs to all those who are born and bred here and who have no other country to look on. Or look to.
Sir, one
Rahul,
second.
you'll have to
Mr. Vyas, I will not allow you to deflect. I am asking Constitution. I am saying that your ally in Maharashtra, the Shiv Sena, seems to be suggesting that the word secular was inserted by fraud. That India is not a secular country, that India is a Hindu country. Now this coming on the back of what the Deputy Chief Minister and his colleague in Goa said. Do you accept that or will you openly condemn
In
it?
the original constitution, in the original preamble, it is a
something on
socialist
which we have no
democratic
authority
country,
to make
not
changes.
secular.
We are competent to debate. The constitution as it is.
What about
So one
what your
second,
Prime Minister has
So
said?
Prem Shukla, I hope you've understood. Jai Narayan Vyas from the BJP is distancing himself from what you've said. He says you've got no
He can
authority
distance, he
to
can
challenge the
distance.
constitution.
I have no problem. The history will not change by that. He is allowed to make distance with my comment. It was a fraud conducted on constitution. I am standing on that because preamble cannot be. No one has gotten the authority to amend the preamble of the constitution.
That is to
And in
prevent
the
exactly
preamble
such
of the constitution,
tendencies.
this country is
That is to
a
prevent the
socialist
possibility of a
democratic
majoritarian
country.
government
The
coming to
secular word was
power
put
and
in
enforcing
in
its worldview
1976.
on the entire nation.
Rahul,
Rakesh Sinha, one second. Rakesh Sinha, do you agree with what has been suggested by the representative from the Shiv Sena that the word secular was inserted, because you represent the RSS worldview and that is very significant in the current scheme of things, that the word secular was inserted into the Indian constitution by fraud, that India is not a secular country, that India in fact is a Hindu country. Is that your view as well, Mr. Sinha?
Rahul, India was secular when the Christianity and Islam came in India. There is an example that Cheraman Mosque in Kerala, it is the second oldest mosque in the world after the Makkah Masjid Mosque.
Mr. Sinha,
Why
answer
it is
my
second?
straight question.
Because the temple, I am coming, Rahul. It is not a temple was converted into mosque for privileging the
That's
Muslim
not the
Muslims.
answer to my question,
My-
because I'm
my
running
thing is
out of
that
time.
India-
I will try and draw you back to my
No,
question,
Hindu-
Mr. Sinha.
Hindu-
Do you
Hindu-
think
Hindu
that the
nation- Hindu
word
nation
secular
by-
was
by-
inserted into our constitution by
No, no.
fraud, Mr. Sinha?
No,
Answer
Hindu-
just my question. What does the RSS think?
No, it is not. In emergency, many false things have been done. My thing is that only that India was secular even before 1976.
That's not the answer to my question, and since you haven't answered it, Mr. Sinha, I will bring you back to my question once more. Mr. Rakesh Sinha, you must hear my question. You must answer my question. Mr. Sinha, please answer my question only. Rakesh Sinha, please answer my question and I will repeat it for you once more. Do you agree with the representative of the Shiv Sena when he suggests that the word secular was inserted into our constitution by fraud, that India in fact is a Hindu country, not a secular country? Answer just this question, Mr. Sinha.
Rahul, there is a different language to express something. He has his own language. I have my own language. My articulation is that India is, India was, India will be secular even if you insert the term or you delete the term. Because we are by temperament secular. And what about Indonesia? Just ask John Dayal.
Doesn't stand by the word secular in the constitution.
Do you think, Mr. Sinha, that India is a secular country? Does the RSS agree with the constitution? Because your own ideology is that India is a Hindu country. Would you like to try and change the constitution? What is it that you are suggesting, Mr. Sinha?
Basically, it is your contempt for the Hindu culture, it is contempt for the Hindu historiography, it is contempt for the civilizational trajectory of the Hinduism. India was a secular, India was a Hindu even before the Christianity came, even before the Islam came. So you have to agree at the common minimum thing that Hindu is a geo-cultural connotation, and you agree whether...
John Dayal wants to respond to what you are saying. Then Mr. Rahmani, John Dayal first. You made your point, Mr. Sinha. John Dayal wants to come in. Just one second, Mr. Sinha. You made your point.
This is not a debate on comparative religion. It is not a discussion or an issue of which faith is better than the other faith. It's a question of my identity, and I identify myself as a Christian whose nationality is Indian, whose ethnicity is Indian, whose passport and citizenship is India. I do not want it to be quantified or qualified by any other adjective.
But Mr. Dayal, according to Mr. Golwalkar, you are only a guest in India. I have a statement here which says that all Muslims and Christians are only guests and residents of India.
You see,
It is my country.
Dr.
I was
Rahmani.
born here.
Rahul, for last since the BJP government has came into power, we are saying that a particular kind of atmosphere is being created in the country to polarize the vote into a particular direction, and for those matter, the things which are not possible under the present constitution of India, they are being advocated and thrown in the air to be debated and discussed, like Article 370, like Constitution of India, like word secularism, like word minority, like putting a roti into a so many other
Rahul,
things.
will you give a minute to somebody who doesn't agree with the RSS viewpoint of
in electoral arena,
Just
they don't
1 minute.
They don't enjoy the majority in Rajya Sabha. They don't have the government.
those are-
Because my fear-
That's why Mr. Amit
Just
Shah
one
has
second.
been brought as the president of the Bharatiya Janata Party.
My fear, Jai Narayan Vyas, is
One
that
question.
these are elements within the Sangh Parivar and they've had this view forever. My fear is that these elements are becoming more and more loud. They're coming center stage. This is not the election that was won and lost. The election was fought on development
That
grounds.
is correct.
They
Why
need
is the
two-third
BJP
majority.
allowing this to happen? Is this, that's why I come back to my first poser. Is the fringe voice today the mainstream of tomorrow, Mr. Vyas?
Can you give the mainstream a little bit
Well,
of
Rahul,
time?
by
Rahul?
your logic and by your theory, to which I do not subscribe at all, you will perhaps even ban सारे जहां से अच्छा हिंदुस्तान हमारा, जिसमें where it is also said that
You have
Hindu
never
है,
adopted it.
वतन है हिंदुस्तान
You have
हमारा.
never adopted
If
it.
you have the authority, you will not permit this to be sung in India.
Rahul,
क्या
can I
debate
give
कर रहे हो?
two
Why don't
quotes?
you make
These are
it-
deflecting
why
arguments,
don't you make the
taking us
nationality-
away from the core
Today you are
point.
talking about
Rahul,
सारे राह से अच्छा है.
Yes,
I
Rashmikant
will
wants to
ask
come in.
you-
I must also tell our viewers that we are
Just-
out of time on this debate.
Just
Rashmikant,
30
quickly.
seconds, and if you can give them time to respond. Two quotations. Adherents to all other religions found in India are either guests or refugees or mere residents in the country. Thus he spoke of the Muslims, Christians and Parsis as residents in India. Mr. Golwalkar. Point number two, since Mr. Jainarayan Vyas has been gracious enough to quote Mahatma Gandhi, what does Mr. Golwalkar have to say about him? According to Golwalkar, the worst sinner and debauch among the Muslims was, in his eyes, far superior
Do you want
even
to
to
discuss
Mahatma
Golwalkar's
Gandhi.
writings?
He considered
We are
all
discussing
leaders of
secularism.
India, including Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru,
Mr.
and
Rashmikant,
simpletons like Sardar
do you want to
Patel
discuss
as
or
a
discuss the
communist.
word?
Okay, you made your point. I give you only 20 seconds. Prem Shukla, 20 seconds only. Make your last final argument.
It is not Golwalkar's
Just
writing, it is
I
not
want to
Golwalkar's
know,
writing.
please tell me, show me a country, practicing constitutional democracy where preamble can be amended. Show me a.
You know, this is a deeply contentious issue. We can be here all night debating this.
This is our quality.
These,
discussing
You
in the
cannot show any
Constitution.
other
Going against what the
sorry.
Prime Minister of India has said.
you know, there is no harm in having a reasoned debate, in questioning faith, in rationalizing it, but the problems arise when a majoritarian worldview is imposed on other faiths, and that is something which is simply not acceptable. John Dayal is a Christian, he has every right to be one. Taslim Rahmani is a Muslim, he has every right to be one. And he doesn't need to add the word Hindu either before or after.
And if I may add
That's
so?
the right that the Constitution guarantees. That's the right all of us will fight for. And that is something that simply cannot be changed. Because when Modi took the oath of office, he didn't swear to protect what Mr. Golwalkar said. He swore to protect our Constitution.
Of India.
And that is what we will hold our Prime Minister to. And I think the government's silence on this is indeed emboldening the fringe. You need to come down, you need to draw a line. Otherwise, what is the fringe today can potentially become the mainstream tomorrow. Everyone's entitled to his view. Francis de Souza is within his rights to say he's a Christian Hindu, but that cannot be the view of others. On that note, I end this broadcast tonight. Rakesh Sinha, John Dayal, Taslim Rahmani, Jai Narayan Vyas, Rashmikant and Prem Shukla for joining us on what's been a very explosive, very divisive, very disconcerting center stage face-off tonight. Thank you. We hope that these voices are put to rest and the Modi government uses this mandate to do what it was elected to: build infrastructure, create jobs, help grow our economy. That is the mandate that he has, and I hope he has the good sense to stick to that. The language row over the UPSC civil services exams spilled over onto the streets of Delhi for the second consecutive day. Protests outside Parliament, later even inside, with angry students demanding changes in the exam format. After a day of high drama came assurances from the government that the students' concerns will be taken care of. In Lucknow, during protests, the students turned violent and turned on the cops. All eyes now are on the report from the special committee that's been formed to come up with some sort of a compromise formula.
The agitation resumed this morning, with aspirants resolving to march to Parliament. The march cut short near Rail Bhavan by the Delhi police, who resorted to firing tear gas shells. Over 100 placard-carrying students were then detained. Protesters were chased down by policemen, bundled into buses and taken away. The cops physically restraining students but denying allegations of high-handedness.
Joining us on the second part of Centre Stage tonight is TSR Subramaniam, one of India's most respected former cabinet secretaries. With me in the studio also two students who were part of this protest. Sumit Verma, who's a BCA student from Gorakhpur. He plans to give the exam now. And Rajiv Shukla, who's a BTech student, also very concerned about the government dithering on coming up with some sort of a compromise formula. GVL Narasimha Rao is representing the BJP and Gaurav Bhatia from the Samajwadi Party. I want to go across first to TSR Subramaniam to give us an independent assessment on who's at fault here. The students who today got violent and are protesting, even beat up the cops in Lucknow, or the government which is dithering and hasn't been able to take a decision, sir?
Well, I think in a situation like this, it's not very easy to pinpoint. It has been allowed to come to this stage rather than find who is at fault at this point of time. I think the change took place in 2010, and at that time there was some protest and a format was agreed upon. 3 years later, the matter went to court. The genesis of this problem is, and based on the court's orders, a committee was set up for a full year. And the court said that within 1 month you should decide and change the format, agree with the format. 3-4 things are quite clear now. I think the consensus is that we have a national language policy, national education policy. We should not now mix up all those things now. The fact is that our people, rural areas, Hindi belt, most of India have been heavily shortchanged in terms of quality of education compared to private schools, etc. It's a colossal failure of our ASER reports say that we have a fairly well settled language policy. At the moment, we should be very careful not to touch that policy, because that is a bomb that can explode all over the place. We should confine ourselves to the immediate problem at hand. I think the students have a genuine case that I think is also consensus. While most of administration is in the local language, Hindi or other languages, the link language, interstate, intrastate, international, and overall has to be English. That's also accepted policy. I don't think we should touch that. There's also general consensus that attitude is important. Therefore, something on that is required. The reality is that they have failed in implementation. This is my view.
No, but I want to go across to GVL Narasimha Rao, because while Mr. Subramaniam suggests that the students have a case, here is a government A that officially says we want to promote Hindi, and you've got students who want to take the exam in Hindi and they're being told that they cannot take parts of the exam in Hindi. And secondly, this is a government that says it's decisive, it's firm, it moves fast, and yet it is taking so long to take a decision. Why this dithering? I thought this was a firm, decisive government. Why is it taking so long to come up with a decision that puts all these children out of their misery? GVL.
This government is actually sorting out the mess left behind by the Congress, which has been going on for the past 3 years. I think this new system was brought in by 2011 and was contested in court in 2012, and the committee which was set up by the UPA government had not submitted its report. I think you should actually compliment the present government for the decisiveness and the promises it made to the students. I think today also the minister in charge promised the students that within a week the committee has been asked to submit the report, and every attempt will be made to ensure that students who are students.
But he's
of
already
Indian
had
and,
15 days.
Indian regional
This matter has
languages.
been festering. It's not as if it came to light just yesterday. This matter has been festering for many weeks now.
No, this is under you will have to understand that the Supreme Court has been hearing this case for so long, and under the directions of the Supreme Court, the committee had been set up. So it would be very highly inappropriate for the government to not wait for the committee's report, or not even to ask it to expedite it and then announce unilateral announcements. I think it's important for the government to consider all
in the midst of what is a very tricky situation, which the government says it's trying to resolve. Gaurav Bhatia, we're seeing parties such as yours try and add fuel to fire. A lot of the protesters who are coming are actually being sent by political parties. Some of them are serious IAS aspirants who are out there as part of the protest because they feel genuinely aggrieved. A lot of them are people who've been sent there to go and protest, to go and take on the BJP. Now, why turn this into a political issue? Give the government some space to resolve it.
Rahul, the real issue has been discussed time and again on your channel as well as on other channels, and everybody has agreed that there is merit and substance in what the students are demanding. Now, I would like to today focus on the issue that has just erupted and why this problem has come in the way that we see. I would first of all like to say that this government, the BJP government, has not been handling the situation well. There is a complete lack of trust and insensitivity has been shown by the BJP government. Why I am saying this is because if you see, just a few weeks back, the Minister of Personnel on the floor of the House assured that no steps would be taken till this issue is resolved. Now, is it not a breach of promise that the Minister made on the floor of the House, that without resolving the issues, without having a constructive dialogue with the students or their body, they went ahead to issue the admit cards, which gave an impression to the students that they are going ahead with conducting the examination.
That's a fair point that you make. That's a fair point that you make. GVL, can you explain why the government did that? Why issue admit cards, make the students feel that their voice hasn't been heard?
No, issuance of admit cards is something else, and the minister also explained today, it does not mean the pattern of examination or the contents of the examination cannot be revised over the week or 10 days. And the
Rahul,
exams, by the way, are already behind schedule.
Okay, I want to bring the students that we have in, starting with Rajiv Shukla. For whatever else may happen, what justifies getting violent with the cops, Rajiv? That's not okay. As civil service aspirants, your job later, if you get through, will be to enforce the law of the land and to guard it.
It's not the question ki what we are doing, what we have done. You are not judging us what we have done earlier. We went for calm, we didn't get provoked, so we won't get turned into violence. This time, the way this BJP government assured us, then there should not be any injustice. And on the very next moment, they issued some admit card thing. See, you can't judge a person's eligibility on the question of the medium or language. You can't impose someone to take the exam on particular language. There are 22 languages scheduled in 8th Suchi, and you can take the exam in any language. So anything is not beyond the constitution. You can't impose someone to do the things in their way.
Sumit, does it justify getting violent? Does it justify beating up the cops? That's not okay.
It's not actually it's not the actual scenario what you are seeing. We get provoked by them, by the government, and this what happened.
So now we were doing a peaceful protest. Now the cops came into and they decided to provoke people. Like they just did misbehave with the girls and the women. So that's how maybe they have provoked the students, and that's turned into the violation. So now the main motive of us is that we are here, that somewhere we feel at the time of prelims, at the time of mains, that you have to take English. There are so many languages we can take. Anyone can adopt any language, which he or she feel comfortable on that. But somewhere I have heard so many of my students, or so many of my friends, they told me at the time of interview, indirectly or indirectly, they will provoke you to, they will ask you to speak in language.
No, I want to ask TSR Subramaniam one final question before we end, because we're running out of time. What do you think Jitendra Singh and the government need to do? Here is a very inflammable situation. The students are angry. What's the best and the fastest way out?
Firstly, I would not be uncharitable to the present government. They've inherited the problem. I don't think
crack of solution.
They inherited it, and it has exploded, moved here, number one. Number two, I have whatever, I'm very friendly to the students, etc. I wouldn't like to see my district magistrate be an agitator. I mean, he can be an MLA, but he can't be an agitator. I think the students have also gone overboard. If they get into service, they will have to have continuously situations thoroughly unpalatable, orders, etc. coming against them. They got to use the legitimate means of court or discussion, negotiation.
Sir,
from the government's point of view, I feel that the basics structures are very clear. I don't think the exam's nature should change. There has been a huge problem about translation. I think they should be absolutely sure this time that the translation is correct, number one. Number two, any built-in language bias should go. Number three, the moment you start postponing exams once, UPSC has a hoary record, it will become a national bimari very soon. You got to be very, very careful. No. And 40 lakh people are involved for the sake of half a lakh people.
Rahul, I'm out of time. I'm sorry that the first debate went over. We ran out of time on the second debate. I must conclude over here because we're now out of time. Gaurav Bhatia, GVL Narasimha Rao, the students, and also TSR Subramaniam for joining us tonight. Thank you. The government really needs to move fast. It cannot allow this problem to fester. Here's a decisive government. You don't need to set up committees. You don't need to take so much time. Find a solution. Get on with it. Don't allow the students to feel so aggrieved. For heaven's sakes, we don't want IAS aspirants to be taking on the cops. As TSR says, this is completely the wrong way to go.